Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is August 22nd, and it is Friday. It's been an interesting week so far, but we've made it here. It's the weekend, so hopefully, all you guys have great plans for this weekend. I honestly don't know what my plans were. I wanted to go play Pokemon Go for the event that's happening this weekend, but like the Pokemon Go community at my college is dead, like dead. It is really sad. It sucks a lot, but maybe I'll figure something out. Outside of that, hope all you guys are doing well. I'm drinking some Sam's Cola today. This is not like a sponsorship or anything. Off-brand soda is better, and it's cheaper, and it doesn't do all like, or it doesn't support all the bad things that Coca-Cola does. From what I know personally, I haven't really done much research, but if you're looking for like a Coca-Cola substitute, try Sam's Cola. It's pretty similar and honestly tastes pretty good. Outside of that, hopefully all you guys are doing great. Let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the FBI has raided a home of a former Trump national security advisor. FBI agents have raided the Maryland home of Washington D.C. office, of Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. On Friday morning, federal agents went into Bolton's house in Bethesda, Maryland, and at 7 a.m., an investigation ordered by at 7 a.m. in an investigation ordered by FBI Director Kash Patel. Bolton has not been arrested and is not being charged with any crimes. Trump's reasoning for this was seemingly because he's an unpatriotic guy. Previously the Department of Justice has worked separately from the administration and not given a warning about the raids. Former President Joe Biden was unaware about the raids on Mar-a-Lago when they happened, but seemingly I can't really find any reason for this. Legitimately, I cannot find any reason for why they did this, and I'm sure it's probably just not public knowledge, but the fact that Trump said it was because he's an unpatriotic guy is kind of terrifying and a little worrying, because that essentially means his house was raided for being against Trump, which is a huge problem for so many obvious reasons. I mean, that is fascism, authoritarianism 101. That is fear factor 101. That is not okay, to say the least. In other news, Trump has called himself the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. If this sounds familiar, it's because he did it in his last administration as well. In relation to the previous topic, Trump has once again called himself the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, something he did in his previous administration as well. Trump said he was unaware of the raid that happened at John Bolton's home and office, saying, "I know nothing about it. I just saw this morning. I tell Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. I could know about it. I could be the one starting. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel it's better this way. Excuse me." So Trump is not the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. That's actually Pam Bondi. This is the second time he said that, and the first time was in his first administration, which is, it's blatantly incorrect. It really is. It kind of proves that he really just still knows nothing about his job, which is crazy because, he's on his second attempt of doing it, and seemingly he doesn't know shit about his job. This isn't even like the first occurrence of a situation like this. Trump has continuously shown that he is not fit to be president, and he really doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. He is not the chief law enforcement officer. He's the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military. Those are two very different things. In other news, Trump has said he's going after New York and Chicago next. Trump has said his next targets to crack down on crime, homelessness, and illegal immigration are Chicago and New York. Trump said, "I think Chicago will be our next target, and then we will help with New York." Chicago's mayor said the administration has not been in contact with the city, but said, "We have grave concerns about the impact of any unlawful deployment of our National Guard troops within the city." This sounds, like a really bad idea, like the kind of fuck around and find out idea. I'd love to see what happened when National Guard troops and DHS troops walk these streets of like O Block with rifles. They won't. I guarantee you they will be terrified too. But I hope they do. I think that will be a interesting situation to talk about and to witness, to say the least. But I guess we'll see. But they shouldn't do this. Like, what they've done in DC is illegal and an attack on the rights of all the people within that city. And that shouldn't be done here. We should not see the continuous attack by the administration on cities throughout the United States because it's within Project 2025. Their goal is to take over these main cities like they have done with DC, like they have tried to do with LA, but have essentially failed, and give them to these companies to essentially take over and become feudal lords. It is crazy that the year of 2025, we are embracing feudalism within the United States, but it's here and we're doing it. Kind of reminds you of cyberpunk, if you know what that is. I know I keep referencing that. Hopefully people know what that is. In other news, talking about the Epstein Files, which, it's been a while since we've gotten to talk about this because the media refuses to. The first topic we have is the Department of Justice sent the House of Representatives the first set of the files. The Justice Department has overturned the first batch of the Epstein Files to the House Oversight Committee, the GOP committee said in a statement. The House Oversight Committee has received the Department of Justice's first production of the Epstein records pursuant of Chairman James Conner's subpoena. This production contains thousands of pages of documents, and they also publicly released the transcripts from the interviews from Ghislaine Maxwell. So my question is here, do we think these files are the truth? I'm going to be honest, I 100% doubt it. We'll talk about more about, the Maxwell transcripts next, but all of them sound like horse shit. I will tell you that much. I'm sure we will hear more very soon, maybe. But, as all of us predicted, I have a feeling Trump is magically not going to be in those files. And, even if they get to read him being in there, I, have a strong feeling that, this GOP-led House Oversight Committee is not going to allow that information to be released. Just watch. Anyways, talking about the Maxwell transcripts, there's a lot to unpack here, and I recommend you guys doing some reading for yourself. With all the things I cover, you should be, educating yourself on all news, not just relying on me. But, if you're looking for a good article here, I use multiple, but I recommend the NPR one if you want good information. I'm just going to cover what she said about Trump because I'm sure, that's where most of the curiosity is at. There is a lot to talk about there. So I recommend you guys all, do your own research and all of that. Anyways, Maxwell said that she met Trump in 1990 because he was friendly with her father. She said, Trump was always very cordial and kind to me, adding that she never saw him in an inappropriate setting. She said, I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I have never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody, and at times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects. She said that she did not think Trump and Epstein were close friends and claimed that she never saw Trump at Epstein's house. I call bullshit. Genuinely, I call bullshit, especially when she says they weren't close friends. I mean, fuck that. We all know that's a lie. There are thousands of pictures on the internet to prove it. I mean, Trump knows these files are the one thing that can destroy him. That's why they've haunted him for so long. They need to be released in full, unedited, and anyone within those files, whether they were a Democrat, whether they are a Republican, whoever they are, they need to be torn down. Genuinely. I mean, there is nothing in my mind that would make me believe, there is nothing anyone could tell me that would make me believe that Trump is not in those files. He used to have beauty pageants for little girls. He had, parties where he only invited Jeffrey Epstein to watch girls. That is disgusting. That is creepy. Genuinely, that is fucking creepy. He is a creep. He is in those files. And I guarantee you, after this administration, if these files, maybe still exist, maybe if someone can dig them up, we might find out that it's not the Epstein files, but it's the Trump files. And he is, the ringleader for all of this. Don't be shocked if that happens. That's, my little prediction there. In other news, moving on into our Washington, D.C. segment, Trump has threatened to completely federally take over D.C. and serious consequences alongside of that. Trump has threatened his administration would completely take over Washington, D.C. if Mayor Murray Bowser did not stop saying the crime was down in the city before agents entered. He said in the Oval Office, I am tired of listening to these people saying how safe it was before we got here. It It was unsafe. It was horrible. And Mayor Bowser better get her act straight, or she won't be the mayor for very long, because we'll take over with the federal government, run it like it's supposed to be run. This isn't shocking. As we all know, Trump hates statistics, especially when they prove him wrong. This entire DC situation is not only unnecessary, but complete and utter bullshit. After the situation is over, DC needs to be made a state. Genuinely, DC should have been a state a long time ago. If it was a state, it would have so many protections against this. This is something that we will never have to witness again if we make DC a state. They deserve representation. They deserve protections. They are, one of the most underrepresented areas within this country. Next to Puerto Rico, I believe Puerto Rico is higher than DC. And that needs to change. Both of those locations need representation. Both of those territories should be a state, without a question. It should be 52 states and not 50, at the very least. Free Washington, D.C. Fuck Donald Trump. In other news, Hedgeseth has ordered the National Guard to be armed. Defense Secretary Pete Hedgeseth has signed an order authorizing the National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. to carry weapons. This is expected to be acted on in the counting days. Hedgeseth's decision allows nearly 2,000 troops to expand their operations by the use of firearms. We talked about this earlier this week, and we all knew it was coming. The use of firearms in any situation, especially this one, worries me. That comes from somebody who has spent their entire life around firearms. I have been in the duck blinds since I was a little kid. I am a registered hunter in the state of California. I know my way around a gun pretty well, and all it takes is one bullet to take someone's life, which is a power nobody should have without reason of self-defense, especially in these residential areas. We've already seen that DC is dangerous. Just the other day, we talked about a military vehicle crashing into a residential vehicle on the street. This is a problem. It is dangerous that these troops have came into the city. They are causing danger that didn't exist before, and that needs to end. Moving on into our ICE segment, we have one topic today. As a judge has ruled, Florida must dismantle the Everglades facility. A federal judge in Miami has ruled that the Alligator Alcatraz facility in the Florida Everglades can no longer take any new prisoners or expand. U.S. District Judge Kathleen M. Williams entered a preliminary injunction to prevent any site expansion and further prevent bringing any additional persons to the site who are not already being detained at the site at the time of this order. The order says that within 60 days and once the population attrition allows for the safe implementation of this order, the facility must remove all generators, gas, sewage, and other waste receptacles that were installed to support this project, alongside light due to light pollution, and they also must remove all fencing to allow the native tribes back onto the site. Is this great news? Yes, absolutely. But my question is, what happens to the people in this facility when it loses the components to run? Someone left a comment on one of my TikToks saying that they were being sent out to Texas, and I believe another state. I'm blanking on it right now, which is, not any better. This order doesn't outline, what is supposed to happen to the people when this facility is destroyed. It only outlines the destruction of the facility. I mean, these people are in concentration camps, and they need to be freed and allowed to live their lives. It is an attack on human rights, and it needs to be ended. It needs to be stopped. Moving on into our other news segments, we have two final topics today. The first one being Florida has painted over the Pulse nightclub shooting memorial. The Rainbow Crosswalk in Orlando, Florida, which is a part of the Pulse Memorial, was painted over late Wednesday night. The memorial honored the 49 people fatally shot in the Pulse LGBTQ nightclub in 2016, which was the largest mass shooting at the time. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer seemingly didn't know about this and criticized the move on social media, writing, "We are devastated to learn that the crosswalk overnight that the state painted over the Pulse Memorial Crosswalk on Orange Avenue. Holy English. This crosswalk not only enhanced the safety and visibility of a large number of pedestrians visiting the memorial, but it also served as a visual reminder of Orlando's commitment to honor the 49 lives taken. Florida's Department of Transportation claims this is because roadways are not to be utilized for social, political, or ideological interests." The destructions of memorials and monuments for anything related to, civil rights during this administration is absolutely sick. I'm glad I live in a blue state and, have lived in blue states for, a majority of my life. But as a member of the LGBTQ community, it is truly worrying to, see things like this happening. I'm truly worried about the rights and the safety of myself and the entire LGBTQ community. We've already seen this administration essentially attempt to push out trans people, which has failed. But like, so many more people they've also tried to do this to, and it's only going to continue to get worse. At some point, considerations will have to be made if this gets worse. And, I'm not going to say what those are, but, we've seen throughout history how bad it can get. Moving on into our final topic tonight, Kamargo Garcia has officially been released. Kamargo Garcia has been officially released from criminal custody in Tennessee after wrongfully getting deported. He's on his way back to Maryland, where his family lives, and authorities are no longer allowed to detain him due to the ruling that ordered his return last month. According to the release order, Kamargo Garcia must remain in the custody of his brother. He must travel directly to Maryland and to report to a judge upon arrival no later than 10 a.m. on Monday. This is great news. The restrictions do sound crazy, but at least he has been freed and he is allowed to return to his family. Now let's release all of these other ICE victims. I mean, nobody should have to be in these concentration camps. It is an attack on human rights. And it is fucking disgusting. Genuinely, it is disgusting that so many people are going through this situation, and it needs to end. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. It has been an interesting one, that's for sure. If you're new here, please subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers on YouTube, and I would really appreciate it if you could help me get there. It would mean the world to me. If you're on Substack, please consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They'll help me pay for the things that all needs to pay for in college, like, food, books, all those kinds of things. College is expensive. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, and I will see you all in tomorrow's.